Smart 24, driving business.
A very good morning and welcome to Smart Men's Business. I'm Andrew Barije. Today is the 1st of November and it's exactly 7 a.m. Good morning and I officially welcome you to the segment of SMB News Recap as we go through the day's previous news stories that are making headlines into the world of business. But of course, before we get there, don't forget, Zabu just made your trading experience much more easier as you just dial *292#. And of course, you'll be availed with a number of options and you'll be able to choose amongst those options which is the best for you. It could be a government bond, it could be a company stock, and so many more options that will be available for you. The market's open, and that's at exactly 8:15 a.m. East African time, and they close at 3:15 p.m. still East African time. Do something new for yourself, and you can do this at whatever part of the country, of course, you will be at. And you will also be in position to sell your stocks at whatever time you feel like, and you get your money, and of course instantly there and then. That is Zabu for you right there. You'll be in position to purchase stocks on Alltex accompanied with government bonds also. All right, now heading straight into the news recap this morning. Maybe before we get there, just to give you a brief hint on what we should expect in today's morning, of course, report. We shall be reviewing an insight regarding Uganda's inflation rate, and away from that, we shall come down to value addition in Uganda. Then we look at Ebola's impact on the business community still in Uganda. Then we shall come down to combating financial crimes. This time around, we shall be looking at money laundering mainly, and also and many other digital crime related, of course, fraud. And then also shall come down to understanding value added on rental tax. Yes, and of course, that's what we shall expect. Maybe also coffee production in Uganda will also be something that we shall look into today's morning business report. Okay, now heading straight to the news recap. We'll start with Uganda's inflation as the recent data from UBOS, that's Uganda Bureau of Statistics, yesterday revealed that Uganda's inflation has increased to 10.7%. And of course, there has been an increase as compared to 10% that was registered, that was a month before. Let's have the details of this report. I'll be returning with the highlight.
In a market economy, prices for goods and services can always change. Some prices rise, some prices fall. Inflation therefore occurs when there is a broad increase in the prices of goods and services. It means you can buy less for today than you could yesterday, and it reduces the value of the currency over the time. According to current statistics, the inflation rate for 12 months to October 2022 increased to 10.7% compared to 10% registered in September 2022.
Index for Uganda for the 12 months to October 2022 increased to 10.7% compared to 10.0% registered for the year ended September 2022. This increase was mainly driven by prices of commodities under the core inflation that increased to 8.9% in the year ending October 2022 compared to 8.1% registered in the year ended September 2022.
According to statisticians, the other driver of increased inflation in the country was annual food crops and other related items inflation, whose prices increased to a tune of 33.8% in October compared to 30.3% recorded in September. Could there be a reason to worry?
By the time an inflation is out of hand, you'd have what we call maybe hyperinflation. No? You come from town in the morning, if you are using public means, it is you are paying 5,000. By the time you are going back in the evening, it is 14,000 or 18. It changes all the time. Tomorrow you wake up in the morning, it has gone up. That is what we call out of hand. Right now it is fully under control.
Specifically, the price of a bunch of matoke increased to a tune of 75.4%. Mukunda Chiza deals in matoke, and he told Smart 24 TV that one bunch used to sell at 15,000 but now is selling at 35,000 to 45,000.
Mabegako gatigana bakubula yali ku mutwalo gumu kitundu mutwalo gumu kitundu kati saawa zino ku mulimiri ku mitwalo 3 ku mitwalo na kitundu.
Does not necessarily have to be the transport factor driving commodities, especially food crops and related items. We know that matoke season is January and July, so this has to be a seasonality issue, not necessarily petrol and diesel. So we are happy to report that matoke, the reasons as to why, or the major reason as to why matoke inflation is high is because they are off-season.
The monthly inflation for October 2022 also increased by 0.8% from 1.5% raise recorded in the month of September. As measured by the Consumer Price Index, this was mainly attributed to the monthly core inflation that rose 0.8 to 0.8% recorded in October.
This is concerning how rapidly the prices of goods and services goods are rising up. That's within the country. And according to data from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, the inflation as measured by Consumer Price Index, of course, for the 12 months to October, that's 2022, increased to 10, that's 0.7%, of course. And largely this has been attributed, the goods, let me say, the food. Yes, the goods in the food basket have been the biggest contributors, and of course, to these rising prices, the food commodities. And of course, we shall find out why, because these are quite, there have been quite lots of questions regarding that particular aspect. And today on the topical discussion, I'll be joined with an economic expert, and we shall be sharing much more insight regarding this matter to examine what does 10.7% increase mean to Uganda's economy. That and more coming up at the topical discussion at exactly 8:30 a.m. All right, now away from that, let's head straight to value addition, as the Prime Minister of Uganda, that's right, Honorable Robert Nabbanja, has urged the local investors to really embrace value addition and also support the initiative of Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. Let's have the details.
The Buy Uganda, Build Uganda policy aims to encourage the use of locally produced commodities and local labor. In order for Bobo concept to be successful, Ugandans must position themselves so that we can each contribute and benefit from the development of the country's economy. Uganda's Premier, Right Honorable Robert Nabbanja, urged foreign investors to hire locals and engage in agro-processing in order to increase value of product, re-echoing what the President has been sensitizing.
Investors come here, they create jobs, consume our raw materials, pay taxes, and help build our country. I would like to see more and more of the products displayed in this showroom bear the logo Made in Uganda.
To promote regional and local economy, since there is a sizable market for them, the regional distributors, ABC Group, has developed strategies to prevent people from traveling to the USA to buy these products, according to Brian Ombego, Area Sales Manager, Hansgrohe.
There is a big market, but the information is what was missing in the past. So at the moment, we are providing information to the architects, interior designers, and clients to be able to make the decision. So in the past, there's a lot of people here who can afford our products, but they've been buying them somewhere else. So what we are trying to avoid is a client going to the US to buy the same product that they can get here in Uganda. So these are the solutions as Hansgrohe we are trying to provide to the market. We're trying to avoid all those complicated ways to buy in the market by giving you solutions locally through a local distributor, a very easy way to get the products of Hansgrohe.
In addition to that, ABC Group founder and managing director Muhammad Madan reveals that they have good relations with Hansgrohe and working with more people such as builders to promote Buy Uganda, Build Uganda initiative, and appreciates Ugandans for having good performance in their industry.
Focusing on the premium high-end luxury brand. Laufen is from Switzerland, and various brands we are focusing on more high-end category of products that suitable for the upcoming generations.
90% of Uganda's private sector is made up of SMEs, 80% of which are found in cities. These provide 75% of the country's gross domestic product and employ about 2.5 million people. If the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda policy is completely implemented, it will help MSMEs grow by guaranteeing them a ready market, which will affect their earnings and growth.
And that's the Prime Minister of Uganda, Right Honorable Robin Anabanja, urging investors to embrace value addition. That's in Uganda, and also embracing the aspect of the Buy Uganda and Build Uganda initiative at the same time. And of course, this was an initiative while launching a furniture manufacturing, that's a showroom that cost about $8.25 billion. That's in the country Uganda. Okay, that's something very remarkable right there. And it's very important when it comes to competition on the global market. The value addition, how best you add value to your products, will be a very determining factor to ensure that you actually earn for it. That's export earnings. Yes, right there. Okay, now let's head straight to Ebola. And this time around in this report, we are looking at the impact of Ebola on the business community. And of course, we know that already the areas in Uganda like Kasanda, Weather, and Mubende, where the lockdowns were installed, quite a lot of people's businesses have been put on hold. But this time around, the impact is being felt even in the neighboring districts because it's disrupting the chain of supply. Let's have the details of this report.
Since traders were the most negatively impacted by the COVID-19 outbreak, the economy is still striving to recover from the blow. Due to the shutdown of Mubende and Kasanda, two important cities for food production and routes for accessing food coming from the west, there is already a chain production effect in Kampala contributing to food prices. Any pandemic has a significant impact on business and entrepreneurship since they are fueled by people. This necessitates resiliency and taking proper safeguards, so business people shouldn't panic, but rather find solutions, such as remaining focused and prepared for any impending hazard.
Health problems always affect business. Our market is population. Our purchase is population. Our expenses are population. So entrepreneurship, business, and any pandemic, you cannot say that it will not affect. It does affect very, very strongly, and it does bring the businesses down. There is no doubt about it. But as I said, when we have no-choice issues, it is better we mitigate the losses through right responses. Like right responses are like taking precautions and doing our work nicely. So let's agree that our death possibility is from the day we are born. Do we agree? Okay. So we should not get panicked. One day we have to go. The situation should be under our control. We should not be under the control of situation. And normalize the mindsets that business has nothing to do with newspaper threats. Whether it is of Ebola, whether it is of COVID, or whether it is of any entertainers. So the question remains is, can we hold the grounds
Due to their first-hand experience with the lockdown and current situation of the nation, merchants at arcades and shopping malls are fearful of another one because they haven't recovered from COVID-19 shutdown. The top traders are ready and waiting to combat the epidemic with the best SOPs.
The environment in downtown or in Kampala or in Uganda. First of all, our traders are in a fear that they hope that they can bring back their most fearless, I think, a nightmare. Their nightmare. It's a lockdown because of this pandemic, Ebola pandemic. So, but for us as leaders, we hope that we don't need it. Even people per now are still crying because they don't have customers, though we are in a season festival, but we haven't yet received customers. And when you add on that thing of lockdown, COVID, Ebola lockdown, as they are hearing around, they are still in rumors, but everyone is asking about, are you ready for the lockdown? How safe are you? Though for us, we are prepared enough because we have a team of 50 UTR members who are ready to teach Kampala Metropolitan about Ebola.
However, in order to control this epidemic, the government should collaborate with traders and put regular SOPs into place as they fight Ebola through routine use of protection. This is because lockdown will severely harm the business sector, and we are unsure whether the economy, particularly the business sector, will recover after another lockdown.
Let us try whatever we can to fight the spread of Ebola. Let us fully implement SOPs, and then we are working closely with the Minister of Health, KCCA, and Minister of Trade to make sure Kampala doesn't go back in lockdown. So as Kasita, we are not in support of locking the metropolitan area. We know Ebola is serious, but together we can fight Ebola. Kampala is the heart of the city, is the capital city of Uganda.
The Ebola epidemic will severely impact the business sector. This is through reducing production of goods and services, reducing the number of customers, and also reducing the tax collection. However, the government can overcome this by working together with the business communities to regulate the SOPs of Ebola.
Uganda's western and central regions are currently experiencing an ongoing outbreak of Sudan Ebola virus. And of course, this has had an impact that's on the business, particularly in the private sector, and of course, expansion, agriculture output, and trade at the same time. A more recent analysis that appeared in the Journal of Infectious Diseases pegs that's the entire societal and economic costs of the outbreak at $53 billion. That's quite something really very huge, quite a big amount. Okay, now away from that, let's say to combating financial crimes, and this time around we are looking at the Financial Intelligence Authority putting in place digital related measures in order to curb financial crime. Let's have the details.
For more than 8 years, the Financial Intelligence Authority has needed a responsible person or firm to physically register their organization. This process was difficult for both Financial Intelligence Authority and the companies because it involved long queues, long hours, and a lot of paper waste, among other issues. The Executive Director of the Financial Intelligence Authority claims that e-registration will make it simple for them to monitor all these businesses and, as a result, enable them to detect money laundering.
The system is doing is to make it easier, because we have been doing it manually, and we're saying and there are so many inefficiencies with manual registration processes. So what we're doing here is simply to digitalize them. Not only to digitize, but digitalize them. So it makes it easier. So that means you know, the purpose for having a register is that to know all the reporting entities you have in the country across the 16 categories. Because in the second schedule to the Act, there's a list of all the categories. The Act lists 16 of them. Initially there were 15, and then virtual asset service providers were added 2 years ago. So that is the purpose. If you know who is supposed to be a reporting entity, then you're able to check on an annual basis whether they are complying with the obligations. One, they're supposed to file annual reports. So if you have a complete register, you will know who has not filed and who has filed the annual reports.
Ugandans have been told by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime that the software included in this Go email and registration will assist in reporting suspicious transaction reports to the Financial Intelligence Authority and other law enforcement agencies.
The software then provides an advanced platform to the analysis of the Financial Intelligence Unit to analyze and exchange information with other law enforcement intelligence databases to build the case using many resources. GoML provides the functionality to disseminate these cases to local prosecution for an investigation to be launched by enforcement, increasing the conviction rate thanks to the completeness and granularity of the rich information provided.
Despite the seeming benefits of all this new technology, the government is aware that cybercrime and terrorism are two new types of crimes that necessitate spending on cybersecurity in order to safeguard people's finances and their businesses.
Remains a major area that we need to work towards. And NITA, and of course the government of Uganda, is securing the government assets, but we have to, of course, work closely with the private sector to also clearly secure their systems, because the more digital you go, the more susceptible you are to cybersecurity attacks. So we're seeing a huge surge in cybersecurity attacks around the mobile money area, but also traditional banks are actually really, they hardly talk about it, I'm sure, for many reasons, but they're really going through a surge of major attacks.
Financial Intelligence Authority is mandated to track financial crimes. For the past 8 years, they have been doing it manually, which has been very difficult to track the offenders. With the introduction of the e-registration, there is hope that the offenders will be put to an end.
A very interesting insight regarding that particular aspect of curbing financial related crimes. And of course, to more effectively tackle money laundering and other financial related crimes, the Financial Intelligence Authority has decided to go digital. Of course, compared to the manual method, which was slower and of course has other problems, this will make it easier to keep track of any unauthorized financial transfers. Very important to guard money, so with putting up technology in place to ensure that such crimes are being combated, simply because the people that are committing these particular crimes are also embracing high technology. So there is no way we can actually avoid that when we use the manual ways of trying to avert financial related crimes. All right, now as we wind up the business report this morning, let's take a look at coffee production in Uganda. As we know that since coffee has been the top earner in export since the 1980s, coffee cultivation in Uganda has over the years demonstrated that's to be one of the major drivers of the nation's economy. Of course, to ensure that every segment of the population gains from their successful endeavor, the AeroPress Championship, a tournament that unites baristas from around the world, is the most current development that's in the coffee industry. Let's take a look at this report.
The goal of the International AeroPress Championship is to identify the greatest cup of AeroPress coffee made worldwide. Alan Adler, created the simple-to-use manual AeroPress, which uses pressure to make coffee. Competition participants have 5 minutes to prepare a coffee during the multi-round elimination tournament. There were only 3 competitors when it was first hosted in Oslo, Norway in 2008, but it gained prominence every year after that. With the intention of increasing the prominence of the barista profession and so lowering Uganda's unemployment rate, Uganda has joined the other 60 nations in these competitions.
Is that, so you know, baristas are very key in determining the quality of the coffee of the country. These are the most technical people, especially when it comes to cup. And therefore, that's why you see I'm encouraging young people, especially on the barista section, to take up this seriously. One, it's creating a job for them. Do you know, as a country, we have more skilled baristas going to the Middle East, earning about $1,000, $1,200, rather than, to me, sending domestic workers.
A number of participants in the coffee value chain, including hotels, coffee shops, barista schools, sent representatives to compete in these events with the hopes of representing Uganda at the International Championships in Vancouver, Canada, from the 1st to the 3rd of December 2022. The chairman of the Uganda Organizing Committee for these contests adds further details.
This competition here is basically meant to, number one, to social network and attract the youth into the coffee industry, the coffee value chain, and also to make them get sensitized on issues pertaining coffee quality.
Over 2 million families are supported by coffee growing in Uganda along the many value chains, from farmers to processors, exporters, baristas, roasters and consumers. Uganda has surpassed Vietnam to become the second largest supplier of coffee to Italy after Brazil, according to the data from the International Coffee Organization and the Uganda Coffee Development Authority. The quality and distinctive characteristics of Ugandan coffee have made it a highly sought-after commodity worldwide. Nelson adds that a variety of reasons have contributed to this.
You must have realized that about 4 years ago, we were about 3.5 million bags to 4 million bags. Now we're getting close to about 7.5 to 8 million bags. So in terms of production, yes, we are, and it's about an issue of demand and supply. And I think there's been a lot of government intervention, especially on the production side, where, you know, the Operation Wealth Creation, that's OWC, together with UCD and government of Uganda, pushing for more seedlings and mobilizing people and everyone to make sure they go into coffee production. I think one that has brought that increase, and we're looking more forward now to see how a farmer, an individual farmer, household farmer, a big farmer, can be able probably to come from 1.5 kilo per tree, probably 3 kilos per tree. And therefore, if we did that, probably by applying maybe organic fertilizer and different fertilizers, doing best practices, applying water, and then immediately you'll go to about, for the next season, you'll go immediately to about ×2.
One industry that is widening the country's business and job options is the coffee industry, which also hopes to raise the per capita income of citizens and expand the government's revenue base. For the correct advancement of the coffee sector in Uganda, a number of initiatives have also been proposed by the people in the coffee value chain.
Ambassadors to represent Ugandan brand in those developed countries, because what I've seen, what Kenya has done is that they have like ambassadors, like more of, are they called unions or societies? So their coffee already in countries like UK or USA, they have like a stall, or they have like a state where you can go and get Kenyan coffee. So also if Uganda, we can pick a leaf on that. So we have like ambassadors who can represent us, source the coffee from Uganda, and then take it to the real market, like to the people who can buy it in European countries. It can help a lot. So Embargo Coffee, we've been skilling more of the youths. So far we have skilled over 80 youths in the coffee barista skills. And we are also looking at introducing coffee quality courses and roasting courses for people who would love to learn how to roast coffee and also do proper branding. And
for out there, young girls, young boys, the youth who claim there are no jobs, being a barista or being a coffee personnel does not require you to have a lot of money or a degree. You need to go look out for these nice schools, because we have very people who are passionate about coffee, who have set up organizations that are helping
The annual
us.
Aeropress Championship will therefore seek to introduce young people to the coffee culture, provide employment possibilities, and also raise domestic coffee consumption, further supporting Ugandan agriculture sector.
Praise Championship, which a tournament which unites baristas from around the world. And of course, such initiatives are being put in place to boost the coffee production in Uganda and ensure that number of households participate in this particular industry. And that's it for the news recap this morning. Let's get into a short commercial break. We'll return with more business insights. Stick around.